Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Catch You on the Pip Side. In today's video, we are going to cover how to set up the settings that we use for boss candle trading for our trend-based fib extension. And then we are also going to talk about how to save it as a template so that if you follow another educator that uses a fib extension, that you can easily alternate between the two different types of trend-based fib extensions. Okay, so first of all, the first thing you need to know is where you're looking to find this tool. So if you are looking for your trend-based fib extension, you're going to be looking in your menu. So you have 1, 2, 3 options down in your menu. And so right here where this blue arrow is pointing to, this is where you're going to select the trend-based fib extension. Now you have to look really closely to see this, but if you put your mouse over top of that button and you look slightly to the right, there's this tiny little arrow that you can press on to pop out to get the rest of the menu to show up of all the different types of fib extension tools. So the one we're looking for is trend-based fib extension. A little tip for you is you can mark it for with a star and it adds it to your favorites menu. And it also just makes it easier to see on this list itself because it's, got a bright yellow shiny star beside it. Okay, so that's the tool that we're talking about here. And so when you want to use it, you're going to click on it. And then you'll see if it's the last tool that you've used, then that's the image that will show up there in the menu. And then the next time you go to use it, you can just click on that tool itself. And that's the one you'll actually select if it's the last one that you've used. And then if you have built a favorites bar, it will also show up on your floating favorites bar. So mine right now is right here. So this favorites bar, anything that I've marked with a star, it shows up on here. And then you can click over here and make the hand symbol show up, like click on these dots here, and you can drag it to wherever you want it to be so that it's out of your way. So I normally keep mine way down here at the bottom where there's kind of this blank black space that it fits into perfectly. And I just keep it down there. Okay, so that's a little bit about the favorites bar itself. Now, when you're actually drawing your trend-based fib extension, you're going to come over here to the menu and click on the fib extension, or you're going to come down to your favorites menu, wherever you put it, and you're going to click on the trend-based fib extension button. Now, once you've done that, you're going to come up and you're going to find the candle that you've identified as your boss candle. So in this case here, this is a perfect little example of a 1-minute sell delo right below the aqua, very, very nice candle pattern here. So for our purposes today, this is going to be our boss candle, this candle that's here at 2010. And when you find a boss candle, it's the candle that is doing the engulfing that you're going to draw the fib extension on. So whatever candle is bigger than the one that it's engulfing or swallowing the one that it's engulfing, it's going to be that candle that you actually draw the fib extension on. Now, when you're drawing your fib extension, it's going to vary between on if you're buying or selling. So in this example here, because this is a bearish engulfing candle, we would be selling. So when you're selling, your first click is going to be at the highest point of the candle. Now, you can just eyeball this, right? And just kind of like drop it on the top of the wick of the candle. Or if you want to be more precise, you can look up here to where it says O for open, H for high, low for low, C for close, and then the amount of points in that candle. So when your mouse is over a specific candle, that's the details of that candle. So the highest point of this candle is 33,816. So the first click of my fib extension is going to be at the price level 33,816. Now, when I draw my fib, I like to click it one candle to the left of the boss candle when I make my first click. Okay, and now my second click is going to be at the lowest point of the candle. So I can pause my mouse back over my boss candle and look up again to the top. And this time I'm going to read the low number. So the low number is 33,793. So again, I'm going to line up my price with 33,793. And again, I'm going to move where I click one candle to the right this time. And then I'm going to click And then my third and final click is going to be back up to the top at the high of that candle. If you forgot what it is, you can pause your mouse over top of that candle, and then you can look up at the top and read the high again. So 33,816. Line up your price with that level, 33,816. And then again, I move one candle to the left again, and then that's my final click. Okay, we're actually just going to click it 1 point off, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so there's my trend-based fib extension. Now on that last click, I didn't get it to drop at exactly 33,816. It dropped at 33,817. So if that happens, which sometimes it does, like sometimes it's hard to get it to drop at exactly the right amount, you can right click on your fib so that the menu pops up. And then when you have the menu, sorry, I'm trouble clicking in the right spot here. Hold on, technical difficulties. Okay, so when you have it clicked so that you're clicked on your fib extension, you can click on settings, and then you can go into coordinates and you can manually adjust it. So we ended up putting this at 33,817, but really we wanted it at 33,816. So you can just come up here and change it in the coordinates, and you can change it for all 3 clicks that you made if they're not dropped at the right place, and then you press OK. Okay, so that was kind of an extra tidbit that I just thought I would throw in there. So once you have drawn your trend-based fib extension, what that's giving you is your 4 different take profit levels, and also some retracement levels of where price might want to retrace back to. So here comes the main part of what this video is for, is to how to set your settings to be the same as mine for Boss Candle trading, and also how to build and save it as a template. So same thing again, once you've drawn a fib extension, what you're gonna do is you're gonna right click on top of the fib extension, and you're gonna go to settings. Now, once you're in your settings, you're going to go to style. And here you're going to want to copy your settings to be the same as mine. Now, for this part, if you look at the very bottom of my Google document, and I'll drop the link to this in the Zoom chat here. So if you go to the very bottom of this document on Google, you'll see that there is a screenshot of my settings so that you can come on here and see them yourself. Okay, that's not letting me. There we go. Okay, so there's that document in the Zoom chat. And if you look on the last page, you'll see that there is a copy of the Zoom settings or the fib settings on here so that you guys can look at them yourself. Just gonna make sure that they're fitting onto this page here. Seems like the picture kind of got enlarged. It's not quite fitting on here anymore. There we go. Okay, so these are the settings. Now on because we're looking at my chart, I already have the settings that we need. So another option here would be for you to take a screenshot of this. I'm on my smaller laptop, so I would have to give you guys a few seconds at each different place to take a picture. So it's kind of easier to just go to the document just because I'm on a small screen right now. But we'll go through these quickly. So when you look at this, you only want to have the same blue ones checked as me. So the blue of this one's checked at the level 0 and the color is white. This level's got a blue check mark. It's the number's 1 and the color is white. Then all the different TP levels that we use, so 2.618, 1.618, 3.618 and 4.236, they're all checked, and the color that I use is green. And then there's the retracement levels as well. So 0.236 and 0.786 are like a golden yellow. We refer to them as the golden zone. And then the 0.5 is white. Okay, so those are your colors for the trend-based fib extension. And if you missed this, don't worry, because you can go look at that Google document, and then you'll be able to like just copy the settings from the Google document right onto yours so that it looks exactly the same. Okay, and if we scroll down a little bit, we can look at my settings at the bottom. Prices is checked, levels is checked, background is turned quite a bit down, so it's not a very dark background. And so, yeah, so that's the settings. And you also have the settings when you look on the Google document. Okay, now the next thing that we want to talk about. Good night, honey, I love you. Oh, I'm not going to go to bed. No, it's Mom's on a call and it's recording. Okay, so Mom will come hug you after I'm done, okay? So these are all the settings. So once you have the settings set the way that you want them to be, and it's like a replica of mine, the next step is to save it as a template. So down here at the bottom left-hand corner of this trend-based fib extension settings window, it says template. You're going to click on the arrow here and you're going to say save as. And then you're going to type in whatever you want to call it. So like most likely boss candle, like whatever the name of the strategy that you're using that fib extension for is probably what you're going to want to name it. And then you're going to press save. Now I'm not actually going to do it because I already have it saved. So I'm not going to press save, but that's what you would do. Okay. And then once you've done that, now what you're able to do is, let's say that you were trading with Patrick Kenny and you're doing his purple zone trading and you draw a fib, but my fib shows up instead of his fib. What you can do is you right click on top of it, and then right at the top of this menu is template, and you're going to come down and you're going to switch it. So sequence and purple zone kind of mean the same thing. I was following him before he started calling it purple zone. But anyways, you're going to click on sequence and then it will change over to his settings. Okay, so now it's got his purple box and purple numbers. Now this is an older version, so this might not look the same as what you guys are using now with Purple Zone, but that's how simple it is to switch between them once you have them saved as a template. So if I wanted to switch back to the boss candle, I would select my fib so that the little black dots that are outlined in blue, so that those light up. Then I right click and then settings comes up. Oh, sorry, actually, no, you don't have to do that. Yeah, you're just going to right click on it. Your menu is going to come up. You're going to click on template and you're going to switch back to the one that you want. So boss candle. Okay, so it's fairly easy to switch between them. Once you have different ones set, you can switch back and forth very easily from one template to another template. You can also save one as your default. So that when you first draw a fib, that's always the one that's going to is going to set as a default. But I've never used that. I just switch back and forth just like that. Okay, does anyone have any questions about anything that we've covered here about how to draw the trend-based fib extension or the settings of the fib extension or how to save the template of the fib extension? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Or type a question in the chat and I will read it out loud and then answer the question, or hopefully answer it. Oh, you missed how to populate the favorites. Okay, so I'm on a really small computer right now. For me, I have to scroll down on the left-hand side toolbar of TradingView all the way to the bottom. And then down at the bottom, there's a star that you can turn on or off to have your favorites bar show up or not show up here. I'll move my favorites bar into a more obvious spot too, right in the middle here. Okay, so then you can toggle it on or off. And then to add things to your favorites bar, let's say that I wanted to add a paintbrush to it. I would come to the different drawing tools and I would add a star beside the paintbrush. And then now I have this paintbrush on my chart, on my favorites menu bar. And you can select the star again to take it off of your favorites bar. Anyone else have any questions about this? Okay, so the favorites bar Number one, you have to make sure it's turned on. So look down at the very, very bottom of all of your different trading view tools on the left-hand side. And you've got to make sure this star is turned on. And then if you have it turned on, but you don't have anything added to it yet, it'll be very hard to find. So if you go find something in the toolbar that you want to add to your trend base or to your favorites bar, like maybe the trend base fib extension, you come to it, find it on the menu, and then click star, and then it'll add it to your favorites bar. So at first you might only have one thing on it, and it's going to be very small. And sometimes it's tricky to find it on TradingView. You really have to like look around your whole screen to see where it is. And then once you locate it, then you want to put it in somewhere that you remember where you put it. And then you can add more and more things to your favorites bar. You don't have a star on the side menu. Okay, so for me right now, it doesn't look like I have a star on the side menu, but there's a little arrow at the bottom of the toolbar. And I have to click that arrow down to pull down the rest of the list. Does that work for you? Okay, how did the fib extension on the candle come into existence as opposed to using structure as PK does? Okay, so it's actually, so I was doing Delorean for a long time, right, with engulfing candles, like bullish engulfing candles. And then I heard from another educator that they would draw trend-based fib extensions right on top of a candle. And so then I started to test out drawing it right on top of the candle and seeing if it was beneficial to us, and kind of back testing how frequently it would hit those different TP levels. And it was just so awesome. And we started to do so well with it that we really ran with it. But it essentially works the same way. It's just a very micro fib extension instead of a larger fib extension. Yes, Alex, I will zoom in and I can draw the fib extension again, where to start and where to end it more zoomed in here in a second. Okay, perfect, Daniel. I'm glad you found that. Okay, let me zoom in here and we'll draw a different fib extension more zoomed in. Okay, so we're going to pick this. This is a bullish engulfing boss candle right here. So we're going to zoom in on this candle and we will draw the trend-based fib extension again. Sorry, I've done a bunch of calls today and I'm losing my voice a little. Okay, so again, you're going to find your trend-based fib extension tool from the menu. So it's going to be the third down on your menu. And then if you pop out the little arrow so that the whole menu of options comes down, you can find your trend-based fib extension. Or if it was the last thing that you used from that section, it will already be the button that's actually lit up. And eventually you'll get used to what the picture looks like and you'll be able to tell the difference. Like this is a fib retracement and this is a trend-based fib extension. So eventually you'll recognize the picture. So you're going to select the trend-based fib extension. And then this time we're buying. So if we're buying, we're going to click first from the low to the high to the low. And so we're going to read the low from up here where it says L for low. So we have to have our mouse over top of that candle to read that number. So the low of this candle is 33,778. So I'm going to line up my cursor with 33,778, but I'm going to move one candle to the left of the boss candle, still at that same price level, but one candle to the left. Now I'm going to go back on top of the candle so that I can read the high number. So I'm going to look up here to where it says high, and it only works if you have your mouse over that candle. So the high is 33,811. So I'm going to line up my cursor with 33,811. But again, I'm going to move my mouse or my cursor one candle to the right this time. And I'm still going to line it up at the right price level. And I'm going to click again. And then now for my third and final click, I'm going to go back to the low. If I forgot what the low was, I can pause on top of this candle with my mouse or my cursor and read the low, 33,778. So I'm going to line up my cursor with that price, and then I'm going to move over again one candle to the left. Now, let's say I couldn't get it to drop quite at the right price. I want it to be at 78, but I drop it at 76. No worries. I can right click and get the menu to pop up. Or if you're on your fib extension, you can also, there's a menu that pops up like this little menu right here. And you can also go into the settings from here, and you can go to coordinates and you can edit it to be at the price level you wanted, which was 78, and then press OK. So that's how you can manually adjust it if you need to. Okay, so that's how you draw it. Now, one other little thing is, just because I only click one candle to the right, if you wanted to, and you wanted your fib to show up further so that you had further horizontal green lines here, you could drag the right to the right as far as you want. Okay, really, like, you could drag it out as far as you want. The reason that I prefer not to do that is that if I got another trend base or another boss candle right here, if I drew a new fib, they would be overlapping on top of each other. So I prefer to keep mine nice and narrow so that they don't overlap from each other. So that I can redraw another one right beside it if I wanted to. But that's just really a personal preference. And then for those of you that are on my morning trading calls, you know that I use a horizontal ray, and I drop the horizontal ray on top of the TP level, stop loss level, and entry level, so that you guys can see it better on Zoom, and so that it makes the price highlighted in the price bar in green, so that you can read the different TP levels a little bit easier, because they're hard to read on the fib. They're very faint and not that bright and a little bit hard to read. So if I draw this TP line, it makes it easier for you guys to be able to read them. Okay, and so if you want to do these lines, it's pretty easy. You just right click on them, and you can go to template, save as. And so you can save it to be however you want it to look. Like, I make my TP levels green. I use a dashed line. I label the text as TP1. So I do all these settings, and then I go to template and say save as. And then I save it as TP1, which I'm not going to do again, or else I'll end up with a whole bunch of them. But if you want to set those up, you can. Honestly, the only reason I use them is because I'm on Zoom with you guys, and I want you guys to be able to see the lines easier on Zoom and read the numbers on Zoom. So you don't really need to do this unless you want to. It just sort of basically takes extra time to like mark up all these extra lines. But if you want to, obviously you're more than welcome to do that. I'm just going to go look at the chat box again and see if we missed any new questions. Yeah, so the green lines up here on the 1.618 is TP1, 2.618 is TP2, 3.618 is TP3, and 4.236 is TP4. So the green lines and the green numbers correlate with the different TP values. Can I clear my whole page? Yes, like, I think I know what you mean. Like, if you wanted to erase all the drawings that you have on your whole page, you can right click anywhere that's blank on your chart, and then a menu will pop up, and you can say remove drawings, and it'll remove all the drawings that you currently have on your chart. So sometimes it's good. Like, I learned all this stuff. Well, I mean, some of the tips I got from Dason, because he's always giving me TradingView tips. But honestly, guys, for the most part, you know, I learned how to use TradingView by like actually kind of like reading things, right? So like when I open this menu, I like, you know, read through and like look at all these different options. I go into settings, and then I'm like, oh, okay, like what can I play with in here? You know, like just kind of like take a peek through and look at all the different things that you can adjust. For example, like on the price bar, you can right click on there so that you can have this little check mark that says countdown to bar close, so that you can see how many minutes or seconds is left until candle closure. Or another handy one is this labels button. You can turn on indicator last value label, and then over on the side here, it shows you the last price of the aqua, the last price of the 200 EMA, the last price of the red and yellow. To me, it's a little bit too busy, but some people like to use that. So you just want to look around and look at all the different things and kind of just get familiar with the tool that you're using. Okay, so the stop loss indicator is called Fractal. So you have to come up here to your indicator button, which they changed. This used to be an FX. So for anyone watching my current videos about how to set up your chart, in the video, we refer to it as a button that has an FX on it, but they've changed the picture. And so you have to click on that new little picture with a kind of a chart symbol on the top. And then you're going to search for the word fractal. And you don't even have to type the whole thing and it already pops up. And it's called Williams Fractals. That's the indicator that I use for setting the stop loss. So once you add that to your chart, then it'll show up over here. So some people can't find this button, so I'll point a little blue arrow to it. So if you look just below the name of the pair that you're looking at, like US 30, Dow Jones, and then look right below that, there's a little tiny arrow pointing down that you can click on that unfolds all the different indicators that you have on your chart. And so my fractals indicator is right here. I almost always have it hidden. And so I have to click the eyeball to get it to show up on my chart. And then once it shows up on my chart, it loads all these little triangles. So if I was setting my stop loss on this position here, this is my most recent fractal low to the left. If I zoom out a little bit, I can check to see if there was another one. Okay, so there was. So zoom out a little bit and you look at your boss candle, and then you're looking to the left of your boss candle and you're trying to find the lowest fractal low to the left. So there is a fractal low right here, but this fractal low is lower. So I would use this one for my stop loss. And so you put your mouse over top of this fractal low, look up here to where it tells you the value of that candle. So the low of that candle, but your mouse has to be over top of it. So the low of that candle is 33,769. And I want my stop loss to be spread times 2 below that. So for me, my spread is 1.5. So 1.5 times 2 is 3. So 3 below 33,769 is 33,766. So I would set my stop loss at 33,766. And if I right click, I can change this template to my stop loss template so that it's red. Okay, and then when I'm done setting my stop loss, I go back up and I turn off the eyeball for the fractal so that all those triangles disappear, because I really only use them when I'm setting, just when I'm setting my stop loss. Okay, and then they disappear. And then you can also, if you want to, you can also mark the entry level on here. It's in blue for me on my template. So entry would be here. And then you would have your 4 different take profit levels, which I will quickly do just so you can see. So that I just want it to look familiar to people from when you're on my morning class and so that you see what it looks like and it kind of jogs your memory of what we're doing here. Hey, Morris, while I'm doing this, do you mind reading any questions that are in the chat box out loud?
Hey, Teresa, this is Dan. Can I ask a question?
Yes, for sure.
I was a little bit confused with the fib. I'm on a sell, I'm not on a buy. How do I flip that around so my fib is up on a buy rather than on a sell?
Okay, so yeah, whether you're in a buy or a sell, how you change it is the order of your clicks. So if you're in a buy, you click low, high, low. If you're in a sell, you click high, low, high.
Thank you.
How many indicators does the free trading view allow? I think only 2. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the free version only allows you to have 2 free indicators. So
3.
Oh, 3. Okay, well, that's better because that's all you need. So if you have the matrix indicator, the fractal indicator, and the Delorean TD indicator, that's essentially all that you need. So 3 is perfect. How to make the lines thicker. Okay, so if you, once you draw your horizontal ray, then right click on it. Oh, I can't see it through the chat box. So right click on it, and then this menu pops up, but you'll have to look around your trading view screen to see where it pops up. And then you can, on this menu, choose between 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point. And then if you change it and you want to save it that way, you'll have to click on settings, come back into your template and press save as so that it saves that setting for you. That eyeball thing is nowhere on my screen. Okay, so when you find your list of indicators over here and you pull down your indicators and you look beside them, so like where it says fractals, there should be an eyeball and then settings and then the source code and then a remove button and then some more things. But the eyeball should be right beside the name of the indicator. And if it's not, I'm not sure what to tell you because I've never ever seen that happen. Oh, that list of indicators isn't even there. Okay, so like, do you have any indicators on your chart? Like, do you have the matrix indicator? Do you have the Delorean TD indicator? Okay, I see where you'd have to. Your answer is okay. So you need to find a blank space on your chart, anywhere on your chart that's blank, empty space, and right click, and then go to settings. And then in the settings menu, go to status line. And then you need to tick the box for indicator titles so that your indicator titles come back on. And then press OK. And then make sure you save your chart again. So actually, I should have been saying this the whole time, but any of these changes that you make, every time you make a change, you should come up and press the cloud up here, this saving cloud. Here, I'll point a blue arrow to it to make sure you guys can see it. Okay, up here. Every time you make a change, come up here. It does save the chart periodically all by itself, but to me, I just like to come up here and save it manually just to make sure I don't lose all the hard work that I just did. Yes, I will. So it probably, this recording, it probably won't be done like rendering or whatever it calls it and then uploading to YouTube until tomorrow. But as soon as it's available, I'll post it in all of our different chat groups. All right, any more questions on anything related to this topic's fib extension?
Yes, I have a gap in my comprehension, I think. So my question is, when a boss candle entry is presenting itself, how do I confirm the direction of the trade entry, as in a buy or a sell confirmation? What do I need to look at to confirm that before or as I'm about to draw up the fib extension?
Yeah, okay, so as you go through that last document that I sent you, this one here, the September boss candle trainings, you will become crystal clear on the different types of boss candles and what order they're talking about. But just as a couple quick examples. So this one here that we drew up, this is a green bullish candle engulfing a red candle. So when we have a bullish engulfing candle which is a green swallowing a red, it means we're buying. If we had a red candle engulfing a green candle, it would mean that we're selling. Oops, I changed it to the wrong color. Okay, so like this would be for a buy, for example, and this one here, where it's a red candle engulfing a green candle, that would be for a sell. So
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. And there is some other ones, so that's a very simplistic overview of it, because that's just 2 of the 5 types of boss candles. But as you continue through the videos, that will become very clear, and there's infographics in there that we show pictures of the different types of candle patterns, and you'll know what direction we're going in. All right, guys, well, I don't see any other questions popping up in the chat right now. So if anyone has a last minute question, quickly type or unmute yourself and ask, or if not, we'll wrap up this section of this recording here.
Hey, Teresa, it's Dan.
Hey.
I'm glad that you have a father because you can understand my slowness sometimes. So thank you for all you sharp people that are on the line right now. I appreciate it. Where do I find the dashed lines? I cannot find the dotted lines.
You mean these ones, like the ones that I have that are green?
Yes. If I go into my trend line, I don't find anything in there for dashes.
Yeah, so it's a horizontal ray. So it's the one, if you look on my screen, it's that little circle. And
gotcha.
So yeah, and then you have to change the settings of it to make it a dashed line instead of a solid line.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You're
and
awesome.
Yeah, that stuff is honestly like, so I'm going to pick on you a tiny bit, but only because you brought it up first. For our older generation traders, this stuff can be some of the trickiest stuff. Just like if you aren't, comfortable navigating sort of, tools and kind of clicking on different things and finding things, that can be some of the hardest things to overcome. So you just have to keep chugging along, because eventually it will become like riding a bike. It's just a steeper learning curve at the beginning. And don't be afraid to use YouTube. Actually, I might as well just say this while we're on the end of this call here. So I'm trying to think of a name, but I'm going to start doing some TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Shorts, whatever they're all called. But basically, I'm going to start doing some little short videos about TradingView that maybe I'm going to call like TradingView Tips with Tree, or Teresa's TradingView Tips, or something like that, where like very literally they're like 20 or 30 seconds long. And I come in here and I'm like, hey, did you know that on TradingView, you can click this alert clock right here, and you can click these little dots up here, and you can stop all your alerts. And then the next day you can come in here and you can restart all your alerts. Ta-da! And that's it. Like very short little TradingView tutorials of different tips that I've learned over time, or Dason taught me over time. But yeah, just little tips like that to try to help people. So watch out for those, because I'm going to start shooting some of these little quick tip type videos.
Perfect. And if you can refer to us as the BG guys, okay, we're before Google.
Before Google, I love it, and then well before YouTube. Because the other thing I was going to say is, anytime you don't know how to do something on TradingView, seriously, just YouTube it. Like there will be a video for what you're trying to do, probably 95% of the time. Okay, so yeah, I moved my boss candle trading course over to a Google document. So I'll put this link in the chat too. I'm still working on this, just so you know, it's a work in progress. I haven't moved everything over to it yet, but this will get you off to a good start anyways. Okay, so there's that. So this is a different document. This is This is a Boss Candle boot camp type course that we did in September. And so this is taught in a pretty nice sequential order, pretty well laid out, built on top of each other from like episode to episode. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you guys. Yes, I'll open my menu of the horizontal rays. Right. Settings. Okay, so the style settings are like, it's going to depend on if it's a TP, a stop loss, or an entry price. But in this example, it's a TP and it's green, and I have it set to a dashed line. And then the text is also green, and then it says TP4. And to change the thickness of it, you have to use this toolbar. So when you click on the horizontal ray, this toolbar will pop up somewhere on your TradingView chart. And the only place to change the thickness of the lines is here. So you can change it to a 1 and it'll be really, really tiny and skinny, or you can change it to a 4 and it'll be big and thick. And then you have to remember to go back into your settings and then come down to template and press save as, and then name it whatever it is, TP4 or stop loss or entry or whatever one you just made, and then press save. The Asian chart does not show in my 15-minute chart. What am I missing? The Asian section does not show up in the 15-minute chart. Do you mean that the gray box doesn't show up? This gray box? Or you mean there's no candles on your 15-minute chart during the Asian session? Okay, so that's part of your matrix settings. So you would need to click that little arrow down so that you can find your list of indicators. And then you're looking for the one called Matrix by Juicyman. And you're going to click on settings to open up the settings. And there's a bunch of things you need to make sure that you have turned on. So you need to have your fill Asian color range turned on if you want the gray background to turn on. And then you might need to go into it and make sure that the opacity is set to a low enough amount that you can actually see through the candles. If it's like too dark, you can't see the candles. So you set it pretty low, like around 20%. So that needs to be turned on. And then on your inputs, you also need to have your show Asian range checked, show ADR boxes checked, show average daily range label checked if you want to be able to see the numbers that go with that box. So yeah, so just open your matrix indicator and just go through and play with those different settings. Anything that you see that says Asian range or average daily range, you need to turn those on.
Teresa, just a quickie question. When you are in your settings for the matrix by Juicyman, I have noticed when you were just showing them that when you have the ADR high 10, low 10, high 20, low 20, do you not use them all? Do you just use one or the other? I can see that you didn't have them all checked. So which one should I just get rid of just to eliminate some extra, too much mess in the chart?
I would get rid of the 10. So it's just that all it is this is the average of 10 days and this is the average of 20 days. I just like it to be the average of more days.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. The fractal indicator that I use is called Williams Fractals. But if you come into the indicators tool and you search for fractals, it'll show up right away at the top as oh, maybe it doesn't show up, but maybe it shows up at the top for me because I have it as a favorite. Okay, hold on, let me look at mine and see who's. source code. Yeah, it should be called Williams Fractals. You know, there's so many of them. Mine has nothing behind it, so it's got to be one of these top two here. Oh, I exceeded my indicator limit. Trying to see if we can see like the guy's name or something in the source code, but I don't really know how to read the source code stuff, so I'm not very helpful with that. Let me know if you find it. Okay, good, you found it. Would you mind sharing the link to your full chart? I can't seem to get the link in. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's a link to my chart there. Okay, well, that's going to be it for the settings for setting up your trend-based fib extension settings. And then obviously we added in a couple other tips there, how to change some templates and things like that. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you click subscribe below if you want more trading tips, and we'll catch you on the pip side. Okay, sorry, that was awkward. Okay, so that's just so that I can splice it and make it into a YouTube video. So, so that was one question that I wanted to cover on this session. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to cover on here? Now it doesn't need to be related to trend-based fib extension or template savings. Could be anything in general. Hover over my favorite indicator list so that you can, yeah, okay, so here, oh, my indicator list. It's going to be hard to see because of this white line. Okay, there you go. I'll try to move. There you go. That should give you a better screenshot there. So yeah, if you want to take a screenshot of my list of indicators, you can take a screenshot there.
Hey, did the price come down to that 2-hour candle yesterday?
It did, yes.
It did, yeah.
Well past it, yeah.
Mm.
Very interesting. It's very
That was amazing.
I know, I missed all the big moves. Oh well.
This week has been crazy. Such big volume this week. It's been insane. Let's measure from the high of today to the low of today. How many points did it move? Oh yeah, 1,000 points almost. It moved almost double ADR today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a good money-making week, that is for sure. Lots of money to be made.
Teresa, it's Suzanne here. You talked about not being able to split your trading account. If we're starting, what's a good strategy to build our accounts for when it comes to taxes and stuff later on?
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying that I'm not an accountant or a lawyer, and so this is not financial or legal advice.
Yeah,
just
sure.
because this is recording. Yeah, so I would say, first you trade on a demo account, then you trade on a demo account that you actually try to take seriously and treat like a real account and prove that you can get some growth results. Then the first time you open a live account, I would just open it in your own name for your first small account. And then when you start to see some growth in that first live account, depending on where you live, I would look into opening a corporation and then opening a new live trading account under a corporation, transferring your money from your personal live account that you open over to your corporation. You may trigger some tax consequences, which is the trouble that I've gotten myself into. But I should have done it clearly much sooner than I did. So like if you start with like a $500 account and you grow it to 2,000 or even 5,000, when you pull that money back out to yourself and then reload it into your corporation, you technically should be paying taxes on that money because you're paying it to yourself, unless you're opening your corporate account with the same broker that your personal account was with, because then they may just let you transfer it from one account to another as long as you're the sole, as long as your personal trading account's in your name and then you're the sole owner of the new trading account in your corporation, they may just let you transfer it over. And then obviously that depends on what province you live in and stuff, like an Alberta LTD company. Or if you want to get really aggressive, right, then you start looking out of country. Panama, for example, 0% taxes worldwide. But that's not, so it's very easy to say, but it is, complicated and you need to qualify and this and that. But if you're tax aggressive, I would look at following somebody like Sovereign Man podcast. He's got a podcast and a website, sovereignman.com. Simon Black's his name if you're trying to make sure you're on the right spot. But anyways, he has lots and lots of great content about, sort of like sheltering your taxes and all that kind of stuff. So lots of options, but whatever you do, don't do what I did and wait so long to get it set up. But I also wouldn't worry about it for your very first live account. Just when your live account, when you start getting some good results, then I would start worrying about it, because I don't want to have people that are like procrastinating or like not opening a live account because they think they need to have this corporation first and blah, blah, blah. Like you need to prove that you're getting successful results before you start spending the money on accountants and lawyers to set all that stuff up.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so if I don't see any other like specific topics or questions in the chat, if anyone has any, feel free to ask them. Like, that's why I'm here. So I heard this today from somebody, like I hear from people often when we're on our live calls in the morning, they don't ask questions. I don't see their name in the chat. They don't unmute themselves and ask questions. But then throughout the day, I get personal, like private messages from them asking questions. And then when I say like, hey, like, I'm live with you 10 to 15 hours a week in the morning, like, why aren't you asking these questions on the Zoom? They say that like they don't want to interrupt me, or they don't want to bother me, or they know I'm busy or whatever. So like, very literally, the reason that I do these calls is to, help people and be able to give you a place to be able to ask questions. So I want people to ask questions during the Zoom, and I would prefer to get, the majority of the questions answered during that time, because that's the time that I have blocked off to give you guys help. So hopefully that makes sense. So like, if you're on here and you have questions and you're not asking, because you think you're like bothering me or whatever, like that's not the case. So please feel free to ask questions on these types of sessions. Tyrone and his favorites, honestly, I'm not sure. It's hard to keep up with him and what he's doing. I would say To me, the reason that his favorites are pretty empty right now is because of compliance. And so as soon as he breaks compliance, then that favorite video can't be in the favorites library. I would say that's the number one reason that he doesn't have a lot of videos in favorites anymore.
I also had problems with his account for a while. It wasn't recording,
Oh,
but it is now.
okay. Well, yeah, so that's good. So hopefully more will start getting uploaded. But I mean, he did say a long time ago when they took off his old recordings and kind of everyone got flushed for compliance that he was going to record a new series. And so far that hasn't happened yet, like not a full complete series like he used to have. So anyways, hopefully he'll have some more up soon, but I don't know any details. I don't remember if you follow 3 candles or less and 8 candles or less with boss candles. No, I would say no. If it's a Delorean, if the boss candle is a Delorean candle, then we might consider it. But I would say overall, no. Normally there's other exits that we're taking probably sooner than 3 candles if it's going the wrong way, but not necessarily because it's 3 candles or less, and definitely not so much 8 candles or less. But it's a good thought. Maybe it's something we need to monitor a little bit more carefully to see if it would help us at all. The Wednesday evening sessions, I don't mind doing an evening session once a week as long as the attendance is okay. Today's is much better than last week's. So yeah, as long as there's, people coming in, yeah.
Teresa, what would you advise as a yardstick for starting a live account? Like how much successful trading?
It's going to be a little bit different, like person to person, but I think at minimum, I'd probably want to see like at least 2 weeks of, of growth on an account, on a demo account before I'd consider opening a live account. Trading on live is very, very different than trading on demo, like emotionally. Like lots of people kill their demo account and they're like slaying it, and then they open a live account and suddenly it's real money. And emotions start to kick in. So I am not a proponent of taking forever to get off of demo, but generally speaking, I would say a month to 3 months, sort of as a max. And then when you open a live account, I wouldn't open a large account, like absolutely maximum 5,000, but honestly, I would prefer more 1,000 to 3,000. And then when you open that live account, you don't have to risk 2% per trade, right? So when you first open a live account, you could take some time just trading at 0.01, smallest lot size for every trade, just so that you're really, really minimizing your risk until you're feeling comfortable and you're building up your risk tolerance. So like if you take a trade, let's say you open a live account for $3,000 and you take a trade risking 2%, which means that you can't lose any more than $60. You shouldn't be stressed out or grumpy or anxious or any negative emotions at all while you're in drawdown. And if you are, you're risking too much for yourself personally, and you should tailor back your risk and try only risking 1%. And if you still feel like if it goes into the negative and you're like $10 in the negative, and you could be $60 in the negative, and you're feeling, anything about it, you should keep dropping your risk down. You should not care about taking a 2% loss. You're choosing to risk 2% on that trade, and you should be very comfortable losing that amount of money on a single trade, and even on a second trade, but if you keep losing multiple times in a row, eventually it's going to stack up, and emotionally you should be done trading. So for me, I have a rule where if I take 2% losses, I'm done for the day, because I know I'll start getting grumpy and irritable. So yeah, it is going to vary person by person, but yeah, I would make sure that you've grown your demo account, for a couple weeks in a row, and you're not making any rookie mistakes like entering the wrong lot size, or you didn't know how to close, or you or you didn't know how to modify your stop loss. Like you should be very, very proficient at entering, exiting, modifying, partially closing, trailing your stop loss, like very proficient. You should be able to look at your trades and count how many pips or points you earned or lost. Like all of that stuff should be like the back of your hand. And then also another thing you could do is, depending on like whose team you're on, like I can't review every single person's trades, but whoever's team you're on, like maybe your closest P1000 or kind of the best trader in your personal upline, you know, send them your trades and get them to check them and make sure that they're, you know, that your risk management is good, and you know, that your entries were at valid entries, all that kind of stuff. I have, there is some MT4, MT5 trainings. If you have, I'm trying to think if there's any of those that are recorded. Was one for the Women Building Futures. Slideshow, is that what it's called? I have a slide deck that I can send that walks you through it. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely do an MT4 training. Also for MT4, MT5, just Google it, or not Google it, YouTube it. Like if you're trying to use MT4, MT5, there's tons and tons of videos that you can find. I think actually on my channel, there is a few videos like how to use MT4 on an iPhone, how to use it on a Android. And then on Mason's channel, he also has some videos on MT4, MT5. Oh, my internet is brutal. See if these will actually pull up here. Let's see here. Yeah, there's some good videos in here. Here, I think I should be able to send this whole playlist. So this is like my how-tos list on YouTube. So there's a bunch of stuff that's useful on here, like how to arrange your pairs in alphabetical order on MT4. How to, what is a pip? How to calculate pips? How to
Excellent.
yeah, a bunch of stuff. How to count pips, Forex, how to calculate your lot size, how to count US 30, how to open a demo account. I'm trying to see if there's any specifically.
I also have a kind of another comment / question. It's regarding like when I first took interest in this, I was not at all forecasting that I would be interested in building the business side of it. But when I share what I'm doing, people are really interested. And so what kind of language and where in the academy can I find support material to offer interested parties other than just the referral link?
Yeah, so there's a website called successlaunch.ca/info. So this is the website that we use to first send to people when they say that they're interested. Then we'll send them this website, and it has so there's like an academy overview, there's an e-commerce overview, there's a tour of the academy, like looking at like the FRX Academy, looking at Go Live, looking at some of the different tools, testimonials, a link to the Facebook group, and then there's also a Spanish video, which obviously could be useful to you in Costa Rica. So there's this link for actually like sending to people that are interested. And then as far as like learning more about how to build the business and kind of the skill set, like just like trading's a skill set, building the business is a skill set as well. So when you
I don't really want to, like, when people are interested, I'm kind of reluctant to respond because I don't have the knowledge or the language to support their interest in a way that I may scare them off. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so honestly, like when you're introducing people to the business, your goal is to say as little as possible, which maybe sounds really weird, but very literally your goal is to say as little as possible and then let the tools or your upline give the information instead of you, so that it's coming from a third party source. And so that's the kind of training that's in here. So if you go to the successlaunch.ca and then you log into the back office of this, there's an IBO dashboard. And inside this IBO dashboard is the training on how to build the business. So the business building side. So I'll just put the direct link right to this section of the website into the Zoom chat too, so you can just copy it. But yes, so there's a whole training series in here on how to build the business and what to say and what not to say and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, generally speaking, the format of it is, you're talking to somebody and they express interest and you say a phrase that's like, if I sent you a website with some videos, would you watch it? And then they say yes. And then you say, okay, great. When would you be able to watch it? Tomorrow. Okay, great. So if I called you tomorrow night, you would have watched it for sure. Yes, I would have. Okay, great. I'll call you, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. so we can have a quick chat about what you watched and answer your questions. Okay, perfect. Then you get off the phone with them, and then you're going to send a message to, depending on whose team you're on, but whoever you're working with, like your P1000 or your P2000 or like whatever leader on your team that you're working with, and you're going to send them a message and be like, hey, I booked a call tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Can you be on it? And like, if you're on my team, it's like between me and Jerry and Rich and Morgan and Dave and Nikki Rempel, somebody will be available to book your call. So you just book your call and then somebody will be available to do your call. And then at that time, like when it's 8 o'clock and you're going to call that person, you call them and you get them on the phone and then you're like, hey, like, how's it going? Blah, blah. Did you get a chance to watch those videos? Okay, great. Okay, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Teresa, blah, blah. She's, learned how to trade and did really awesome and moved to Mexico, whatever. We'll give you a little kind of like blurb or write up to say about each different leader that you might be using, so that you kind of have like an edification script that you can tell the person about that person. And then you'll introduce us to your friend. Like, yeah, this is my friend Brandy. She lives in Costa Rica. I met her. I'm living here too. She's looking for a way to, support her family living in Costa Rica because she can't work here legally, blah, blah, blah. And then you just mute yourself and we literally take over. And, occasionally if we address you directly or if your prospect, talks to you directly, you'll unmute yourself and talk. But for the most part, we'll pretty much take care of the rest of it and help answer their questions and close them, which I don't really love that word, but basically help you enroll them.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, the password for this I'll put into the Zoom chat. I'm not going to say it out loud on the call just because it's recorded and but the chat messages isn't recorded. Okay, so in the Zoom chat is the password for this website. And so then also the other thing that will help you, so like obviously like going through this training for sure will help, and then attending the Sunday night team calls, like the big team calls for like all the way from Greg and Melanie Brino, who are our chairman 50s, which means they make $50,000 US a month from the business building side every Sunday night at it's 9 for me, so 7 Mountain Standard Time every Sunday night. That will help with the business building side of things as well. And like if you want to build, like if you want to introduce people, just reach out to whoever your upline is. They will like whoever is like your leaders that are.
Yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I've really only been like studying the academy and attending the morning Zooms with your team since the beginning of January, basically. So one thing at a time, but I'm a little overwhelmed by the external interest that's coming at it, and so that's why I'm asking, like,
Yeah,
about
just
all these questions.
yeah, just roll with it naturally. Like for sure, like right now, you're in your steepest learning curve ever. But once if they express interest and you send them those videos, and then I talk to them while you're this new, pretty much I end up just taking them over. Like they're still on your team or whatever, but pretty much we kind of take over and get them onboarded and trained and stuff for you. Because you just
Thank
don't know how
God.
yet. And then eventually, as time goes by, you'll be able to start onboarding and your own people eventually. But yeah.
And also, hi Dee. It's great to see your face. Oh my gosh. It's been like 25
Nice
years.
to see you as well. It's been a while, yes.
Yeah, Carmen and I, we played baseball together in elementary school. Like, how old do you think we were, Carmen, when we went to provincials? Or maybe Mom, maybe you remember better than me.
That was a fun trip. I'm
That was
going to
awesome.
say 9 or 10-ish. Does that sound right, Dee?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that
It
was
was
so
in
fun.
elementary school.
Yeah.
Teresa's a hell of a batter, you guys. It's no surprise she knocks them out of the park every day on Zoom. Ah!
Thanks, Carmen. I used to be a good batter, but honestly, like when I try to play baseball now, I mean, it's been a long time, but I'm like, whew, I really lost my baseball skills over the years. But yeah, those were fun times. All right, well,
Switched it up for pickleball.
yeah, pickleball's my jam now.
A little safer.
You would think. So old people play it, but I did actually throw out a rib last summer playing pickleball. You wouldn't think the pickleball would have been so dangerous, but okay. So there was one other quick thing that I wanted to talk about for anyone that's still on here and not too tired, or maybe I'm only tired because it's only 11:30 for us Eastern people. Remove drawings. Okay, so bear with me again because I'm gonna reintro this call so that I can make a new YouTube video for this topic. So just bear with me for a second.